Welcome to the Gaming Lounge podcast, episode 33. Once again, I'm your host, Sebastian, and I'm joined by Dory. How's everything going, Dory?
If I wasn't such a klutz, it'd be better. Yeah, great. I went to the Massachusetts Independent Comic Expo today, otherwise known as MICE, in Boston, Massachusetts, right in Boston University. Lots of fun. I got a good amount of stickers and bought some stuff for Kim and some comics and prints and whatnot. So yeah, I go every year, and except for the couple of years we couldn't go. And yeah, it was a great time. I got to hang out with a friend, and it was good. So yeah, I've been playing tons of games. And so if you like video games, which I mean you should if you're listening to this, we have lots of that for you this episode. Like arguably too many.
Yes. So this episode is not going to have any news. This episode is going to be purely honorable mentions and what we're playing. Since next week's going to be loaded with the Game Awards, Indiana Jones, and any other game, we're just not going to have time to fit in honorable mentions in that episode. That was the original plan. So we decided to do it in this episode. So what we want to do is talk about the 5 games that we really like, but just didn't crack our top 10 list. And as of recording, this is December 7th. So there's of course, other games have come out or are going to be coming out. Not that many, but like Indiana Jones, for example, could be my top 10. If by the end of the week, I don't know. So this is just as of now of December 7th. So these games are really good games, and we really like them. But there was just something missing in them that just didn't make our top for whatever reason. Just didn't make our top 10, or the year was just had a lot of good games. And so yeah, so let's talk about your list first. Let's do one game. So we'll rotate one game at a time. That way, it's not someone
Sure.
talking for 45 minutes straight and then rotating.
Right. So this basically is my 15 through 11.
Yeah.
If I was doing a top 15,
Yeah.
I'm just letting people know. So number 15, otherwise known as honorable mention number 5, is Another Crab's Treasure. This is a like kind of Souls light that came out earlier this year. It's very accessible. You literally in the accessibility functions, you can give the main character a gun to just one shot everybody. I almost never use that. I've never used it for bosses, but I did use it for some really annoying enemies later in the game that just completely ganged up on you and were very difficult to beat. And I think there was like 3 or 4 of them, and I was like, "Fuck this!" And I took out my Glock. Oh, I did use it on that fucking ridiculous um boss that's in the desert. Not in the desert, but like in the that's like right out in the open, and you have to run away from him because he's so strong at first, and you're just like not ready for him. I did eventually get a gun for that because I was just really annoyed by the fight, and I just didn't want to deal with it. But other than that, I didn't use it on any bosses. So I love the game a lot. I'll start with the positives. The story is really well done, actually. It's got some really good themes of environmentalism and capitalism, toxic corporate culture, both literally and figuratively. There's a lot of really good humor. Just a lot of it in the humor really, really hit for me. I think that it just in general was a very funny, well written game. I don't remember if Seb played this, but I personally like really enjoyed it. The comic kind of art style, I really liked. I thought everything was drawn and animated and is very kind of cutesy, but had a very dark theme at the same time. Um, what else did I really like about it? I thought the combat itself was good. I liked how everything was felt pretty balanced. Most of the boss fights felt fair. We'll say there's a couple of boss fights towards the end I didn't care for, but yeah, it didn't make my top 10 basically just because there's just better games there in terms of gameplay. There were times where I got really frustrated with some of the boss fights. A lot of people said he was the easiest fight, but of course I had the hardest time with him. But the not the main boss, but it's basically his bodyguard. I found him really tough. It took me a long time to beat him. Um, I also just felt like there were some issues with, sometimes like getting around or movement could be a little floaty. Um, and there is. I guess this is true of a lot of Souls games. So it is, if nothing, if not anything else, consistent. By the end of the game, it felt too easy. I just felt like I had stacked up so many abilities. I had maxed out my defense, maxed out my health, maxed out my attack. I mean, I was whooping fools. I think the final boss took me 2 tries, which is probably not how it was supposed to go. But I mean, I just fucking walloped on him, and it was fun. I'm not saying it was bad, and I also have no problem with kind of a power scaling journey where by the end you're a freak. But it did feel like I was a little too strong. Like it felt like it should have been more of a challenge than that. But it's not a huge deal. These are just some of the small things that held it back for me from being in my top 10. And I mean, although I did like the gameplay, it didn't wow me or whatever. It was solid, but I never felt like, I felt like I was having a better time in other games that I'll mention later in terms of gameplay. But a great game. I hope they make a sequel. I heard that they're updating some content for 2025. Their social media game is really good, like game in terms of like how they do their social media. It's really funny, and I follow them just for that, honestly. But yeah, I hope they make a. I hope Aggro Crab makes another game. It was a really good first game for them. I'm pretty sure it was their first game, so I recommend everybody go play it. I don't remember Seb if you played it, but I thought it was great.
Yeah, I played it. I have it on Steam. I played it on my Steam Deck. It ran extremely well on the Steam Deck. It was a perfect Steam Deck, and it was verified and everything. It was very colorful, very charming. It has a cool art style. It's a very casual, easygoing Souls like game. It's a good introduction to Souls games. Because
Right.
it does have some challenges. Don't get me wrong, but nothing like on the level of like Bloodborne or Sekiro or anything like that. But still, it's not a walk. It's not like a walk in the park either. It's not like you're just gonna steamroll everything either. But overall, I really liked it. It's one of those games I did not finish. But I am like pretty far into it. Like if I went back into it, I could probably beat it within a couple of hours. Like so, that's one of those games I will finish at some point because I have it. I'm like I said, 80% into it. Yeah, I think it's a good game. It's in my. It's not in my honorable mentions, but it is one of my favorite indie games of the year. If we were doing games of the year, it would be in my top five. So yeah.
Nice.
All right. So for me, speaking of indie games, one of my honorable mentions would be Animal Well. Animal Well is my favorite indie game of the year. Like I said, we talked about it last week. I voted for it to win the game, best debut game and best indie game. And yeah, I think it's fantastic. I think it's one of the best Metroidvania games. It's amazing. It's from Donkey, like who's like a really funny YouTuber. But like the fact that he made such like a really awesome Metroidvania game that's very unique, cool. It just has a great tone to it, cool visuals, a lot of discoveries, which is also a con to the game. An issue is that like there's a little too many like crazy things that happen. Like crazy things, just too many like events that can happen in the game that like just no way of you can ever figure that out. Like there's just too many secrets, too many hidden things, and it get sometimes so it's like a lot of people just miss things. And I know it's some appeal. It's like finding something in a game 3 years later is cool, but at the same time, there's a little too much of that. But overall, I think it was a really well done indie game. It was free on PS Plus when it came out. I have it on Steam as well, and it plays fantastic on Steam Deck. I strongly recommend it if you like Metroidvanias and you like want to see cool visuals. It has all these cool animals. Yeah, it's a really unique experience. Probably one of the most unique experiences of the whole year. There's no other game like it that came out this year, so I strongly recommend Animal Well. So what's your next game?
Yeah, my next game. I do want to say about Animal Well.
Oh
I'm really
sure.
happy for Donkey that this worked out for him. I love that basically people have said, "Why don't you stop complaining about games and actually make one?" And then he's like, "Bet." And then he makes like first game ever. I know it's not him; it's a team, right? It's a studio, but like he's behind it, obviously, and like he's like, "Bet," and like it gets fucking Goaty nominations. I mean, that's bonkers. That's awesome. I've never been the hugest Donkey fan, but I've definitely laughed at some of his videos and thought they were funny. So good for him. Um, Metroidvanias aren't really for me, but I'm glad for people who enjoy them. Number 14 or number 4 is Nobody Wants to Die. We talked about this at the time that it happened or the time that it came out. I know, shocking.
It was our thumb. It was
And
our
I really
thumbnail
loved
too.
it. Was our thumbnail. Yeah, we had it as our thumbnail. This was a really fun game. I knew I would love this as soon as I saw a trailer for it. The graphics are gorgeous. It's the investigation is really interesting. I would say everything leading up to the conclusion, which we'll get to, is really good. The dialogue's really fun. It's a classic cyberpunk noir kind of setup. I'm not saying it does anything incredibly original with its plot, but I think it's a really fun time. And it's really fun to be a detective in this world. Again, it looks beautiful. The music's lovely. The voice acting's great. The characters are interesting. But, Seb and I talked about it. He didn't like it. I liked it more than him, but we both agreed that the finish was anticlimactic as hell. Obviously, I won't, it just came out this year. I'm not going to talk about spoilers, but the ending is a bit it's vague. It's not written super well. It feels kind of out of nowhere. It doesn't really feel like it accounts for a lot of your choices. I'll also say on the minor gripe side, some of the investigating was a little tedious, and sometimes the button prompts just wouldn't register. Not a huge deal, but just something I noticed, and because it's such a heavy first person investigation game, that obviously adds up over time. But I mean, a really great game. Was in my top 10 for honestly most of the year. I think I only recently took it out, maybe a month or two ago. So it's been there for quite a while. But no, Nobody Wants to Die. Definitely recommend, but has a few too many issues for me, especially with the way it wraps itself up.
Yeah, I quite liked it. I first of all, the visuals are incredible. One of the best looking games of the year. This is one of those games I
Yeah,
wish you had your new laptop for it, because it really is that
yeah.
awesome in higher settings.
I did play it on PS5, so I mean, I got a pretty good
That's
experience.
good. That's good. But yeah, it's not for everybody. It's a strong puzzle evidence based game. If you're looking for action, this is not the game for you. This is purely dialogue. Sit in your car, absorb the environment around you. Slow music, noir style. It's evidence based. You solve a crime scene using tools, and it has a really cool visuals. But just know that it's not a kind of game. It's not even LA Noir, for example, has like action and you shoot people and things like that and drive around. Nothing like that in this game. This game is purely narrative focused with puzzle solving. But I really liked it. But as Dory said, my biggest issue with the game was the ending. I really did not like the ending. I thought it really soured it for me. I still think it was like an 8 out of 10, but like it could have been higher. The ending would be better, but yeah, the ending was just abrupt, very vague, didn't confusing. It just missed the landing. But overall, one of the again, this if I was doing an indie top 5 list, that would be my top 5 indie games of the year. So I enjoyed it overall. I know it didn't overstay its welcome. I felt like it was a good length overall. I didn't.
I was going to say that too. Very good length.
Yeah. All right. So for me, this game is in early access, but I'll still count it. This is No Rest for the Wicked. One of the best. I don't put this. It's like over the shoulder, like not over the shoulder, but over like camera viewpoint ARPG. I don't know, but it's a really cool game. It has a cool art style. The combat is really fun and difficult. It's a kind of like it's Souls light, not like it's not a Souls game, but it's definitely I would compare it more to like Death's Door kind of gameplay, where that the
Yeah.
top down view, and you have to roll out of the way and things like that. But I really like the characters. I like the environment. I love this. The visuals are absolutely incredible and unique. Like it really stands out. It's a really ultra graphics level kind of game, even though you wouldn't think with this kind of art style. But it's made for the people that made Ori, and if you ever played the Ori games, the visuals in those games are incredible, and it looks amazing, and it plays really well. I know a lot of people were really digging it when it came out. They gave us a lot in it, and yeah, it's one of those things like Hades 2, where it's like it came out early access this year, but you could still like beat the whole game basically, right? So I didn't beat it, but I got pretty far into it. I really had a good time with it. I think I only put it down because something else came out, and then I just never got back to it. But yeah, it's one of the best games. If you like Ori and you like that like top down gameplay, like Death's Door, this is the game I'd recommend to you. What you could do is just wait for the actual launch to come out. It had performance issues and things like that hurt the game, but again, it was early access. So if you're interested in this game, I would get it when it comes out officially and not early access. But you know how it is. Like a lot of these great games are coming out in early access, like Baldur's Gate 3 and Hades 2 and No Rest for the Wicked, and you get like full on experiences. But you just have to be willing to be an early adopter for all the good and the bad. So again, if I was doing a top 5 indie game, I don't know if this is an indie game. I guess this is an indie game. Yeah, top 5 indie game of the year for me. So if you notice a pattern, a lot of my indie games are in my honorable mentions. My top 10 list is very triple A this year, just how it turned out. But
yeah, can't believe this. Seb has sold out the indies for big AAA money.
Yeah, I got that Ubisoft EA money. Give me
That's right.
Give me all the money.
He's gonna have to loot that money first, and then get 4 different guard towers eliminated, and then go into some camps too. Anyway,
I definitely did not get paid by
all
EA.
right.
That it was Activision.
Yeah, we just want. Yeah, good to make clear. All right.
Go ahead.
I wish though. I'll take that blood money.
I was selling out in 5 seconds.
Absolutely, me too. You kidding me?
I got my tap shoes ready to go. I got my tap shoes ready to go.
Absolutely. All right. Anytime you want to point to the soul of this podcast, just go right to that clip. So next on my list, another indie game. Actually, mine are almost all indie games, I would say. Maybe one of them is not an indie game, and even that I'm not sure about. But anyway, this one certainly is. It's called The Thaumaturge. This really caught my eye when I saw the trailer. I thought it looked really interesting. I was just getting into tactical turn-based games, so it was up my alley in that way. People said it reminded them a bit of Persona meets turn-based. No, Persona's already turn-based, but Persona plus like Polish folklore, plus like Disco Elysium detective stuff. And I was like, damn, that sounds really cool. And it was really cool. Obviously,
it reminded me of like it reminded me of like Sherlock Holmes, but if it had demons in it, like it has that.
Yeah, for sure. And it was set in Poland for some reason.
Yeah.
The studio, I believe, is based out of Warsaw, Poland. So they know what they're talking about for sure, at least on some level. First off, graphically, this is, it's not a AAA gorgeous budget by any means, but I mean, it looks really nice. Especially all the designs for the demons that you control in this. They're not demons, but whatever the fuck they're called. It's been months. But the creatures you control look gorgeous. They're all based, like I said, on Polish folklore. So they look really intimidating. They look really cool. They've all got different attacks. The cool thing is too, there's a lot of strategy to it. You can make them lose turns or make them lose attack, or you can like just go straight for a more attack focused build. There's even a couple of optional creatures that are more powerful but harder to get. The story of the Thaumaturge itself, I found very interesting. I was getting really disco vibes just from the UI and just from like kind of how dirty, I guess, the game is in a sense, in terms of like the city streets and just like kind of that gritty feeling. I kind of did feel like I was in the Polish version of Revachol, which is the area in Disco Elysium. But yeah, overall, I really liked it. I thought it was a really great game. But again, the ending left me a little. I was underwhelmed with the ending. I don't remember a ton about it, but I didn't feel great about the ending I got. And I think when I looked into it, I didn't like most of the endings. But I don't. Again, this was months ago, many months ago. I think this was like first half of the year. But I really like Thaumaturge overall. The gameplay is really the main core of it. The investigating is fine, and it's fun, but it's not It's not amazing or anything, and it's pretty much the same thing every time. I'd say maybe the thaumaturge goes maybe a little long, and the quests aren't always amazing. But overall, I had a great time with it, and I would recommend it if you like turn-based games, or if you like Persona, or if you like Disco Elysium. I think you'll probably love this game like I did. Some issues here and there, but overall, I had a really great time with it, and would recommend it for sure.
Yeah, I own it, but I never got to it. But that's one of those games. That's gonna be one of my catch up games next year.
Yeah,
I believe it runs really well on the Steam Deck. That they managed to make it, but
yeah,
maybe I'm misremembering. But yeah, I think that's right. But yeah, it's one of those games I'm gonna check out. My best friend was playing it, and he really liked it as well. I was watching him play it. It's a really cool game, and I keep hearing a lot of praise for it. Probably maybe the most underrated game of the year because it's really going under the
yeah.
radar.
It's got very positive based on over 2,000 on Steam. I put about 25 hours into it and pretty much did everything. So it's not an incredibly long RPG, which is nice. Um, Yeah, it's a lot of fun. The voice acting is very distinct. The music, I should talk about the music too, just really briefly. Also very distinct because of that Polish background. It's just the I know this is kind of overwrought, probably at this point. It's a cliche, but the vibe, the aesthetic is really good, very unique in this game, is what I would say. You just don't get a lot of games like this. So, if for no other reason, go check it out. Just because it has a really unique vibe. It's been pretty well received, but like Seb says, I feel like it's definitely underrated. And worth checking out.
Yes. So what I've been playing, oh, excuse me, what one of the games I was played this year was Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, which again another Metroidvania, surprisingly on my list. But it's one of the best Metroidvanias of the year. One of the best. I don't want to say indie game, but it's one of the best kind of game like that. It's really, first of all, the visuals are awesome. It's very unique. It's not like their other Prince of Persia games. It has its own art style. It has a really cool animation. It's very anime, over the top. Kind of reminds me of Metroid Dreads, like action scenes and animations. It's a blast to play. My biggest issue with it is that it's a little too long. Like there's just like there's a little extra stuff in there that just doesn't need to be in there. It feels like it drags out a little bit. There's a little too many rooms. Like this game shouldn't have been as long as it was, but it's a great experience if you love Metroidvanias. The action is awesome. Visuals are awesome. Boss battles are really cool. Really cool animation. I think the main character is a cool character. Likable characters. I think it's a really good game. This game was in my top 10 for most of the year. It just got kicked out a little bit because of the games that came out in the second half of the year, and maybe because of Indiana Jones as well. So it's there's some things that keep it from being in my top 10, but overall it's an amazing game. I think it could easily been in my top 10 all year. It plays amazing on the Steam Deck. So Ubisoft made a huge disservice to this game, not putting this game on Steam for most of the year. I feel like if they put this game on launch date in the beginning of the year on Steam, this game would have done much better. But because they pulled their stupid Ubisoft crap, we have to connect to the launcher and you still have to do that, which is annoying. It hurt the sales, which also hurt Star Wars Outlaws, which we'll talk about later on. It's just Ubisoft just makes dumb decisions. I think they're finally realizing this issue. I feel like they've finally realized that they can't ignore Steam users and they can't force people to the launcher and all that stuff. I think they're gonna start backpedaling on a lot of their things because they're losing money a lot, and there's a point where they might even want
Yeah.
to be purchased by somebody because they're struggling. So we'll see because they've been kind of on a downhill trend in the last, I don't know, 10 years.
10 years, yeah.
So yeah, but that has nothing to do with Prince of Persia. Prince of Persia is a great game. I recommend it to everybody
Yeah.
if you like Metroidvanias. So yeah,
Okay. Yeah, again, Metroidvania is not really my thing, but I am happy in some sense that, the Prince of Persia fans are getting service too in that way. But of course, Ubisoft ended up messing it up,
yeah,
at least somewhat.
yeah.
Classic Ubisoft. All right, this is the game I'm not sure would count as an indie. maybe a double A or something. I don't know.
Maybe double A.
But Life
Maybe
is
double
Strange,
A. Yeah. Go ahead.
yeah, Life is Strange double exposure is
Mm.
was really close to making the cut, and only barely got cut off. I love Max as a character. I love the Life is Strange series. I have played the first one. I played Before the Storm. I played True Colors. Now I played this. The only one I haven't played is two, and I aim to rectify that at some point. I have played episode one. I just at the time I didn't have
Yeah.
enough money to buy the other episodes, and then went to other games. Um,
Yep.
but I aim to rectify that probably next year.
And I'm a giant Life is Strange fan. I beat every single one multiple times. And
Yeah,
we talked about this before, but yeah,
yeah.
I had issues with this game, but overall I really liked it too. So you go ahead, Dory. How did you feel about this
Yeah,
game?
yeah. So I really liked a lot of what they were trying to go for. First off, speaking personally, as a trans person who has not really done any voice therapy, it always makes me happy to see. This is a weird shout, but like I don't know if you remember Seb, but Rocco's Modern Life did a movie on Netflix
Yeah.
where they had a trans woman, yeah, trans character, and she hadn't done voice therapy or speech therapy either. Voice training, that's what it's called. Speech therapy is a totally different thing. And it's just it for me as a non-binary person who has never really felt like that's necessary. I just really appreciate that. Or at least, a trans woman who has a deeper voice, is a cool bit of micro representation that I personally appreciate. There's a lot going on in this game. I love. I love a lot of the characters. I love the central mystery is really interesting and cool. Um, the dialogue is really funny for the most part. Yes, there's some cringy parts, but at this point, if there weren't cringy parts, I would question if this was Life is Strange. You just kind of have to accept that at this point, that some of the dialogue is, I mean, most of this dialogue is written by adults who are like in their, 30s, maybe 40s.
But they're
Um,
but they're
but some,
but they're
what's that?
French. They're French, so they don't they
And they're also French. They're also not American. So,
yeah.
they're writing about a Vermont town about 20-year-olds. They're a little bit, out of their depth in that way.
Yeah.
But for me, it's part of the charm of Life is Strange, so not a big deal.
Yeah.
I think the game's beautiful. Unfortunately, this was one of the last games I played before I had my new laptop, so I did have some tech issues here and there, which contributed to it not being quite as high.
Oh,
And then again, this was just the year of like games that just had the Stephen King syndrome because like I again similar to Nobody Wants to Die, the ending didn't bother me as much. The last couple of chapters didn't really bother me as much as it did Seb and other people. But I understand why people felt like the last couple of chapters weren't quite up to speed. It's after that big reveal midway through the game, it was really hard for the game to really live up to that and push anything forward. It also feels like it has suffered due to sequelitis, which is basically like it's trying to set up another game in the franchise. I don't really know that I need that, and I also don't really know that I needed this game, and that's ultimately like what kind of drags this game down overall for me. It's a really great game, but I just don't feel like I needed it. I feel like we should have done something like True Colors. Just you could have had somebody besides Max, and I love Max, but I felt like her story was complete, and the game tries vaguely to give good explanation for why Max is doing what she's doing, even though she supposedly learned her lesson in Life is Strange 1. Oh, I'm not trying to stop the murder from happening. I'm going into a different timeline where she's alive to help solve the mystery. So I'm accepting the murder. I'm not trying to change it. But that gets muddy more and more and more as you go throughout the game. And I just feel like they didn't justify the existence of double exposure enough for me. That said, it's still a fun game. I still had a great time. I love Life is Strange. I'm pretty much day one for any Life is Strange game or any game that's similar to Life is Strange, like that Rage and Bloom game that's coming out, Lost Records or whatever, next year. I'm all in for that. So yeah, I love these kind of games. A very Dory game, as Seb would say. I recommend it for sure, but just know what you're getting yourself into. Not all plot threads are going to be neatly resolved by the end of it. Uh, like I said, I don't know if that is sequelitis, but that's just what I'm going to call sequelitis is trying to set up a sequel even though it doesn't really need to, and I don't really need to see the fucking MCU of Life is Strange as much as I love the franchise and the series and the characters. For some weird reason, I just don't really want that. I'm just kind of sick of everybody doing that. It just feels, I don't know. That was cool back in like 2008. It's like 16 years later. I feel like we can move on. But anyway, that's just my little rant. I know Seb also really liked it, but I had some issues with it.
Yeah, I liked it. It was like a 7 out of 10 for me. I had even on ultra settings on a 4080 PC, I had performance issues, a lot of visual issues, pop-ins, blurriness. Things would not load in correctly. There was audio issues where things would get really loud, like people were talking and they would just be loud all of a sudden, and then they'd be quiet. It was all over the place.
That's weird.
Yeah, it was a widespread issue. But still not enough to like sour anything in terms of the gameplay. I think it wasn't that massive. It wasn't like every 5 seconds I was having issues. It wasn't like Assassin's Creed where like eyeballs were popping out or anything like that. It was nothing like that. But it was definitely noticeable. But my biggest issue with the game, as Dory mentioned, was the last 2 episodes. The first 3 episodes were really strong. I was really invested in the characters and the mystery. I really enjoyed Max's character overall. I was into the relationships. I was into it, and then the last 2 chapters just fell apart for me. And as Dory mentioned, it ends with a cliffhanger to build up to another game. I felt like things were not resolved. I just felt very unsatisfied at the end. I was just like, is that it? And the villain, I'm not gonna say who, but the villain, I guess it's a villain. I just didn't agree with her motivations. I thought it was just silly. I was just like this could be easily avoided. It's going too far with this. But overall, I think it was a good game. I recommend it. I don't think it needs to exist. I was happy with Max's ending in Life is Strange 1. I felt like she learned her lesson. My ending was she sacrificed the Chloe, because I felt like that was the whole point, is to realize that she just needs to move on, I guess, with her life. Like Max was moving on to being a photographer and being a famous photographer potentially, and I felt like she realized that she can't undo things, and this game totally undoes that, ironically, right? But still, I was happy to see Max. I really enjoyed it. The voice actress did a great job. I felt like it was adult Max. I did think it was a little silly how much they made her like a criminal, where she's like, she just knows how to break into everything. Like they're asking her to be like Batman. She just like,
she is such a fucking snoop, though. I mean, she really is.
She gets in everybody's business. Like nobody would like her in real life. Like
no one would like her. Absolutely not. She'd be the Socrates of her Vermont college town.
It'd be like, hey Dory, how you doing? Oh, so last week I heard you got in an argument with your girlfriend, and then like imagine like something like that. Like I heard what you did Saturday. Can you tell me about it? And it's like, Max, just like leave people alone. Like mind your business. But anyway, it's a good game. I recommend it. If you like Life is Strange, you will like it, I think, overall. But I shouldn't. Maybe that isn't true, because Life is Strange fans were not happy about this game. The Reddit was on fire.
Final Fantasy, it's a Life is Strange game if a lot of Life is Strange fans fucking hate it. So
that's every fandom, I guess, at this point.
I guess so, yeah. I don't know. I had a great time with it. You had a great time with it. Most Life is Strange fans I know liked it, but I'm aware that there are some people who also didn't like it. So whatever.
Yeah, I recommend it for sure. All right. So my game. So Visions of Mana. Dory and I both beat it. We talked about it a lot. Right. I really liked it. First of all, I love the art style. The Mana series is very unique from the rest of Square Enix's JRPGs. Because Dragon Quest has its own art style, and Final Fantasy has its own art style. It's a Mana game as soon as you see it. As soon as I saw the trailer, I was like, "Yep, Mana game." And yeah, it holds up. The visuals are absolutely incredible, very colorful. It just absolutely pops. I play it mainly on my gaming laptop, which is a 4070, and I have a really nice screen. But that game is just incredibly. The visuals are just absolutely incredible. Do not play it on the Steam Deck though, because you will get a worse performance and not as good looking. But overall, the gameplay was. I wouldn't say it's the greatest gameplay. It was fun for the most part. It had some difficulty spikes, especially near the end. But the best part of the game for me was the job system. I just really liked mixing and matching all the character class, like the class system, where you just mix and match what you wanted your characters to play as, and they changed their costume, and that was really fun to do. That was my favorite part. The storyline had some emotional beats that were good, but as I said before, I was disappointed with some of the direction it went in. I love the one of the villains in the first half of the game. I feel like his motivation was understandable. He just wanted to be he just wanted to live his life with his lover in peace, like, and the world's forcing him to sacrifice her to save the village. And I felt like I felt like he was more relatable and understanding than like the second half villain, where it was like just this big bulky guy who just wanted revenge and that was it, and it was just like very generic. I've seen this anime. He was like a very much an anime villain I've seen 1,000 times. Every Final Fantasy villain ever. But still, I think the story had really strong beats, especially in the later in the game at the end, where the main character has like a lot of he comes back to his town and talks to like family and the girl he likes, his family, and it was really emotional. That was an awesome scene and things like that. So this game has some great moments in the story, but overall, it's very generic storyline. I think where this game really shines is that it's just a fun pick it up, run around in this open world that's very colorful and just smack animal monsters around and experiment with the class system. And I think overall it's a great game. It's just like an 8 out of 10 for me. I really recommend it. Like I said, the issues I mentioned are a reason why it's not in my top 10, but it is a good game, and I suspect I could see this game probably being in Dory's top 10. So we're probably gonna talk about it again in the next couple episodes. But overall,
That's so weird that you would say that.
yeah. So you can sustain from like not saying you don't have to. Excuse me, the abstain.
Okay.
You can
Yeah, abstain. Yeah, so a sustain, motion sustain.
abstain.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I agree a lot with what Seb said. On the off chance that Visions of Mana does get pushed out of my top 10, which is very likely, it's hanging on by a thread. I'll have you know, because of either Astrobot or Paper Mario or some other 2024 game that I get to in the next 20ish days. Um, I just want to say real quick, uh, really fun game. Too long, had some pacing issues. I completely agree about the villain. The Fabio ass villain in the second half was lame. Didn't need to be there. The first villain was better, and it could have been a shorter game too. So that would have solved two issues with the price of one. Um, and yeah, it's a beautiful game. I had a lot of fun, but it's got some issues, and I could see it leaving my top 10. So just want to real quickly say that, and then yeah, we can move on.
All right. So what's your final honorable mention?
So my final honorable mention, I actually have to make sure that. Okay, so Flintlock, The Siege of Dawn. I liked this game a lot more than I think anybody else does,
Well,
and I'm
okay. I'll let you finish, and then I'll talk about it.
okay, and I'm not sure why. I just really felt like the gameplay clicked with me. Now, the game's not a masterpiece by any means. I think the characters are dull. The writing's not that great. The graphics can be hit or miss. But I just had such a good time with the gameplay. And I felt like it was the perfect difficulty for most of the game, except for like maybe the last fourth or some shit, where again, it kind of had the another crab's treasure issue.
Yeah.
But I just enjoyed myself so much playing it that it was like a really strong, like, 8.5 or some shit for me.
Mm.
Maybe even a 9, just based on the
Oh
gameplay.
wow.
Um, I had a really good time with it. I really enjoyed the different weapons that you could use, the different setups. I appreciated how balanced it felt. It felt difficult, but not frustratingly so. I loved the boss fights. I pretty much loved everything about the combat. I'm not saying it was perfect, again, but I don't know. For me, it really scratched an itch at the time. and I really enjoyed it. And for a long time, it was in my top 10 up until honestly just the other week or something.
Mm.
I really recommend this game just based on that. Don't go in expecting some awesome lore or some awesome voice acting or even amazing graphics. But it's for me personally, it got really good in terms of the gameplay, in terms of the core sword, spear, shield, whatever gameplay. I had a really good time. So on that basis alone, it's my number one honorable mention for right now.
Yeah, I liked Flintlock. It's not. I think it's like a 7 out of 10. But I did put 35 hours into it. Got all the achievements, so I did 100% the game. Got everything in it. Uh, the gameplay is really fun. It's a Souls game, Souls light game. Has some difficulty spikes. I really like the traversal. I like the jumping or the teleporting around. Like that was really cool. I like the visuals overall. I really liked her companion. It was like a fox demon thing. It's been a while. I don't remember what his name was, but I really liked his character and his voice. Again, something about this year when the ending in this game sucked. Like I don't know why a lot of these games don't know how to finish their games, but like, yeah, this game didn't have a good ending. It
Yeah, this was another
was very
game. You're
abrupt.
right. I totally forgot about that. This was another game that had an unsatisfying ending. I think at some point during like the summer or early fall, I was gonna start making jokes of like, no fucking game this year knows how to finish itself. Like we've got a Stephen King epidemic going on
I could
here. But
I could even say that some of my games in my top 10 have this issue as well.
yeah,
This was the year of difficulty spikes in bosses in random games and bad endings. But yeah, I really like I don't say really like it. I liked it overall. Like I said, the gameplay is fun and the visuals were pretty cool and everything. My biggest issue was the storyline. I thought the main character was just forgettable and lame. Just like I just it just wasn't well written. I didn't care for her at all. But the game this is a game where the gameplay carried it more than anything else. I think because I just like Souls games. And see, Dory is playing every Souls game, but like the best ones. Just it's time to start playing Elden Ring and Bloodborne and Demon Souls and Sekiro. It's like you're playing all the side ones, all the indie ones, all the.
it's like it's like I'm eating a 5 course meal or some shit, and I
Yeah.
just keep getting like side dish after side dish,
Yes.
and Seb's just in the corner, just like just looking at me like, what the fuck? Just eat the ham, it's right there.
I'm like, play Final Fantasy. No, I'm gonna play like the obscure one that has like 25 syllables and
That is me. It's a very me thing to do.
yeah, but yeah, I liked it overall, and it was on Game Pass. So I think it might still be on Game Pass. But was is there before we move on? Was there any like games you just wanted to shout out that didn't make your top five honorable mentions like really fast, like a
Yeah,
rapid fire?
I'll shout out real quick. I'll shout out to also, by the way, yes, it is still on Game Pass. That's also why I recommend it. Probably also why I had such a favorable view of it because it was so cheap. But yes, I do want to shout out some other ones real quick. Oh man, see,
Mm.
sorry, I'm doing this. I'm doing this live. We can just cut this out later, actually.
Well, I can go while you do that. So for me, first of all, Pal World I really liked. I know it's getting sued by Nintendo and everything, but it really I know it looks like a Pokemon clone, but if you play the game, it's a survival game, and it's a resource manager, and the pals all help you build camps, and big battles where like you shoot them with machine guns and stuff. It doesn't play like Pokemon at all, so it's a very surface level comparison if you just look at it like that way. Like I know there's some concern about them using AI and copying Pokemon, and some of them are really close to it for sure. Like there's a Lucario, looks like a Pharaoh Lucario, yeah, but gameplay's nothing like it. Um, so I really enjoyed my time with that game. The funny thing is, a lot of Dory's top five honorable mentions would be like my 15 to 20. So it's just like our list is just mine reversed. Like those are my games. That are, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So those are a lot of the games I play. I really liked. So I just wanted
I
to shout.
mentioned I'll
I just wanted to shout Power World because that was the big one
yeah,
one of the big ones I left out. Oh,
I'll
Marvel
mention
Rivals
3
too, but we're gonna talk about that
yeah,
next. Go ahead.
I'll mention, 3 games
Hmm.
that I liked but didn't quite make this. Stellar Blade, great game. Again, not a great ending.
Yep.
And I had some frustrations with the late game bosses, but a great game. Definitely made for a certain kind of audience. Uh, and I'll leave it at that. Plucky Squire, all ages game as opposed to the last game. Very fun, very maybe not innovative, but very fun and very engaging. I had a great time with it. Doesn't overstay its welcome. Very nice to look at. And fun. Just a fun game. And then the last game I'll mention, which actually we'll talk about later, is Duck Detective: The Secret Salami. I thought this game was just oodles of fun. Just a really cute detective game. It was funny. It had some Mad Libs detective style investigation, which I appreciated. Um, and I thought it was a great game. Didn't quite make this top 5, but want to shout it out.
Nice. So let's move on now to what we're playing. Um, so let me start with mine first, and then we'll just rotate again. That way, we're not talking 45 minutes straight. So mine are gonna be a little faster. So let me just get it out of the way. Metaphor. I beat it. Oh, it feels like a month ago, but I beat it. My game of the year by far. I really enjoyed the ending. Fine, at least that's one had a really good ending and satisfying ending. Um, it it had awesome political themes. It had awesome story, awesome characters. I 100%ed it. I got every achievement except for the one where you have to do the new game plus and fight the dragon and all that. I will get there at some point, but I did 100% the regular game, and I got every. I've seen everything. All this, I did every single side quest, every single dialogue, every single, uh, 100% all the, what do you call it? Friendship. I don't know. I forget what it's called, but anyway, I maxed everything out. So I really enjoyed everybody's side character, all the side characters. I enjoyed everything about this game. My music, the gameplay. I'm gonna praise the hell out of it when we do the game of the year episode. My top 10. It's my number one. It's just that good of a game. So I can't praise this game enough. It's Atlas's best game in my opinion, and I don't say that lightly because I absolutely adore Persona 5. But this is their best game, and Atlas has just had a monster year. So yeah, it was. I had a great time with it. I will say though, I wish the Atlas games were just a little shorter because I put 104 hours into this game at this point, and by like 80 hours, I was kind of ready to move on. Now, I mean, I only have so much time, and this really affected me overall in terms of like playing other games because but like don't get me wrong, I really had a great time with it, but it definitely got in my way of playing other games because I would have had way more games beat if I didn't have all these like 75, 80 hour games on my list. But yeah, so Dory, give me one.
Yeah. Do you want me to start with the shorter ones and then work my way up, or
I don't think it matters. Just pick whatever works for
okay,
you.
should pick whatever. Okay, sure. Um, let's see. Well, first, I guess I'll just go in order then. So Dragon Age Veilguard, geez, I know how it feels like that came out a while ago. I beat it. I had an awesome time. I think the haters can get dunked on. This is an excellent game. Is it perfect? No. There's some amount of, I think it's fair to say, some amount of character freedom that has been lost over the course of games. But I think you can say that about most of BioWare stuff at this point. It's just not an expectation I had. I know some people are also upset because you can't be an asshole. Personally, I don't care because I'm never an asshole in my games. I like would feel bad about just saying a rude thing to my companion. Like I've literally like restarted or reloaded just because of that. So very personally speaking, I don't care that you can't be evil. If I wanted to be evil and I don't, I would play like Baldur's Gate, right? I wouldn't play fucking Dragon Age, which has never really been about being an asshole or being evil, at least not to me. But also, I don't play like that. The main thing about this game is the gameplay. The gameplay is excellent. It's really fun. It's engaging. It's fast paced. The team up moves, while a little bit repetitive, are really fun when they happen. All of the side characters, all of your companions, I should say, are amazing. The romance I got was really great. Um, the dialogue is solid for the most part. I'm not saying it's necessarily Origins level, but I thought it was really good for the most part. There's times where, especially earlier in the game, I felt like maybe the game wasn't living up to previous games. But over time, like I adapted to the new style. I think it's great. Some people think it's too syrupy or corny, but I don't really mind. I know Dragon Age used to be this really dark franchise, but that was also like
It,
20 years ago, and I think we can let it go at this point.
yeah.
Dragon Age
It,
hasn't been.
yeah, it doesn't bother me like as much as other people, but I do think this game's a little heroic at times where it's like it lost its edge a bit where everybody's like cheerful and like where everybody talks is heroic-ish. I don't know, it's very adventure like, you know,
Yeah,
but it's not I don't dislike it as much as other people. It's in my top 10
right,
games.
right. Some
So,
people think it's like betraying the spirit of Dragon Age, and
yeah.
I'm like, it's not that serious.
Yeah.
I get if the tone isn't for you as much, but it's fine for me. I like a lot of the side quests or companion quests specifically are really fun, really satisfying. I agree with the IGN review that it makes all of the companions feel really important, makes them all feel like they have an arc that they go on. Uh, you know, the you can say that the side quests aren't quite up to snuff, but they're also really quick for the most part, and they don't feel cumbersome.
Yeah.
Um, I will say some negative things about it. I never felt like I had a gear that actually like worked for me, like style wise. Um, and I didn't really. I know it's called Dragon. This is about to sound ridiculous. I know the game is called Dragon Age, but I played Origins and I played Dragon Age 2. I played a good like 15, 16 hours of Inquisition.
Mhm.
I had never fought so many fucking dragons in a goddamn game before in my life. It's like ridiculous how many dragon fights there are, and they're all done really well, and they're all really fun, and they have different elements, and they're all integrated in the plot well. So it's not a huge deal, but by the fourth dragon, I was like, guys, is there a fucking factory? Like, what is happening here? Like, dragons are supposed to be, supposed to be at least somewhat rare.
That was me in Metaphor
But yeah,
fighting all the side dragons. Like it was like
yeah.
why is there so many freaking dragons?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, the gear was disappointing. I never had gear that looked good on me, or that I just thought too many things were flowy, or or just looked cumbersome on my rogue character. Just nothing looked good. I don't know. And like towards the end, I did get some decent armor, but even that wasn't like amazing.
Yeah.
I will say a couple other pros. The aesthetic is gorgeous. We talked about that last time. I felt like this actually did have a good ending, and there's some really good twists that I did not see coming that I should have seen coming, and I was like, "Fuck!" Like the endings fucked me up. I was sad about it. They did it really well. I'm sure other people realized it, but I didn't realize it. And yeah, they were really good twists towards the end, and just the ending in general, I felt was appropriately epic and well done for once. For
Yeah.
once, a game we're talking about has a good ending. And then last thing I'll say is that there were some actually hard choices that I had to make towards the end of the game that felt meaningful and that I actually struggled on. Most of the game doesn't really have that, and you can criticize the game for that. But I felt like the parts that really mattered did, and I liked that.
Sure.
So yeah, for me, it's in my top five. I loved it. I'm not going to say it's better than Origins. It's not, but it's sure as hell better than Dragon Age 2. And for me, from what I've played of it, I've only played 15 hours, so take this with a grain of salt. But it's on par with Inquisition for me overall. So yeah, I really liked it.
Nice. All right, so I'm gonna cheat a little and talk about a couple games back to back because I'm just gonna rapid fire it a little more because I just wanted to say that I 100%ed Silent Hill 2. I got all the endings and completed everything in that game. Absolutely love it. Top 10 game for me, which I'll talk about in Game of the Year video. And then I 100%ed Black Myth Wukong. Got all the achievements in that. Love that game. One of my favorite games of the year. I'm really excited for the sequel. I'm also really excited to see. Hopefully, they remake Silent Hill 3 or 4 or 1 or just make a new one. I don't care, but give me a game just like Silent Hill 2. Like, you know what I mean? Like, even if it's brand new,
Yeah,
I don't
for
care if
sure.
it's just the same. I want the same camera angle, same gameplay kind. You can improve on the gameplay, but like, you know what I'm saying, Dory? Just give me a third person shooter Silent Hill like that again, and I'll be so happy. So I got 100% in Black Myth. We talked about that game so much, so I won't go in detail. I set my goal to 100% Hades. I said that in January. My goal was to get all the achievements in Hades 1, and I did that. This is over the course of like 2 months. So, cause it's been a while since I talked about the games I was playing. So, I was really proud to get all the achievements in Hades, and I'm excited to play Hades 2 next year. And I really love Hades. One of my favorite games, top 30 game of all time for me. So, so let me just jump into like, something new. So Star Wars Outlaws. So Star Wars Outlaws is, I think, overhated. I don't think it's as bad as people make it out to be. It's not a great game by any means, but when people talk about it, you think it was like a disaster for Ubisoft, and it was like one of the worst games ever. And it's not that. It is nothing new. It is very much so an Uncharted game, basically. It has the climbing on walls. It has the Uncharted 4 like big open world, not open area. I would rather. It The gameplay is very much every third person shooter ever. Cover behind a wall, stealth, that kind of stuff. It's not The stealth is janky. It's not great, but it's fine. The mini games are fun, but like I think they're tedious, and you could turn them off and just hit a button and it does it automatically for you. I prefer that personally, but other people really like them. So hey, I think the visuals are really good. I mean, I'm playing on ultra settings, so I can't speak for the other platforms or lower computers, but at my end, it looks really good. I'm very happy with it. I think the main character is fine. She fits the smuggler style character, where she's very witty and has one liners, but I guess people can view that as her as corny. She doesn't have the same charm as like Indiana Jones or Nathan Drake or Lara Croft, but she's fine. It's not anything. She's not anything amazing that stood out to me. I think if you like Star Wars and you want to just get in the world and you just like another aspect of Star Wars, I think you would like this game. If you like cinematic games, I think you'll like this game. Like I said, if you go in expectations that this game is going to be like pretty good and all right and just have a good time with it, you'll be good. If you go into this game expecting like the next big cinematic God of War level Last of Us kind of game, this is not it. I can see Ubisoft. I can see how Ubisoft put all their marbles into this game because it is AAA, but it does still have that Ubisoft jankiness to it, and it does have that open world map thing I don't like. It, I don't. I just don't personally. I wish this game was not open worlds with the speeder and things like that. Because it's like you're going from point A to point B to do a quest marker. I feel like this game would have fit better if it was a smaller, linear, more polished game, like an Uncharted 1 or 2 or 3, where it was like 8 to 12 hours and that's it. You know what I mean? I think that this game would have been much better than that because then things would have been more polished. But I think if you like Jedi Fallen Order, you like this game. They're very different games in terms of gameplay, but like it has that cinematic vibe. It feels like it's part of that universe, even though it's a different company. But I guess it is canon, so it is part of the universe. But yeah, I think if you wait for a discount, wait for it to go drop down in price. You know, Ubisoft games drop in price fairly quick. Get this if you get this game for like $20, I think you'll be happy. I think if you spent like $60-$70 on this game, then yeah, I would understand. But if you for $20, this game is worth the playthrough. So yeah. All right, Dory, I've been talking enough. What else have you been playing?
All right. I'll do some rapid fire myself.
Sure.
Uh Played Duck Detective, Secret of Salami. As you can tell from the title, this is a very serious game. No. This is a very goofy game that I really wanted to check out. I'd heard it recommended by some people online. Obviously, I'm a big fan of detective games. Um, I just love, just the general, like I love mysteries. I love one of the comics I picked up today is like a teen mystery graphic novel. So I just love mysteries. I love trying to help figure that out along with everybody. I just find that process very satisfying and engaging. It's a silly, it turns serious, but it starts very silly, like who stole somebody's salami out of the fridge at work. And there's a lot of like workplace drama, and there's stuff about, I don't know, there's stuff about tariffs, if you can believe it, in the game. It's a goofy ass game, but there's some serious topics tackled here and there. But obviously, don't go here for some cinematic, amazing Martin Scorsese experience, right? This is a goofy ass game that does not try to be anything other than what it is. Like I said before, it's Mad Libs kind of. You have to like talk to a lot of different people, get certain words, and then put those words together. And that's kind of like your thinking area, is where you put one word in this part of the sentence. I will admit, I got stumped towards the end. The last two, like fill in the word things, I needed help on. I almost had one of them, but I just couldn't quite make sense of it. There was like once that I got stuck and I couldn't figure out what to do. And then so I finally folded and used the hint button. And it helped one time, but not the other time. So the game can be a little tricky towards the end, but there are guides out there if you really need it. I used it, no shame. Um, it looks nice. It's well voice acted, if you can believe it. It's all voice acted actually, even for an indie game. Um, and yeah, I enjoyed myself. Great game. Not making my top 10 by any means, but I had fun with it.
Yep.
All right, this next game. I tried Banishers Ghost of New Eden. I didn't really care for this game. This is the second game that this studio has put out that I did not really care for. Vampire or Vampire or whatever. I didn't care for the gameplay there. This one, it wasn't even the gameplay. I think I put like an hour and a half into Banishers. I just felt like nothing was happening, which is crazy because like you lose the love of your life in like the first hour of the game, and like that's been
Yeah,
telegraphed. And
that's the Don't Non is all over the place. Like, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, because like they did Life is Strange, and they did Life is Strange 2, and they did Tell Me Why, and Jusant was pretty good. We both like Jusant, right?
yeah,
But
yeah.
then,
Just sounds all right.
but at the same time, and they're doing Lost Records, which you mentioned earlier. But
Right.
like, but at the same time, they did Twin Mirror, which was bad, and Vampire, which
Yeah.
was not well liked, and did you play that Harmony game?
Harmony, the Fall of Reverie.
Yeah.
I haven't played it yet. It's on my list. I was actually just about to start playing it, and then a whole bunch of games came out.
Okay. So
But it
yeah.
got decent reviews. It got decent to
So
eight out of 10 reviews.
so
So,
they mostly make good games. They've had some stinkers, I think.
but they are a hit and miss. Every now and then, I don't know, they just fucking whiff. And I just felt like this was one of them. The gameplay wasn't that engaging. I didn't. Here's the thing. I don't care that his wife died or his partner died. I
Dang.
didn't know anything about them. And the
Yeah.
game, what?
I said dang.
I know. I'm sorry. And I was about to preface that with, I know this sounds harsh, but which I should have. Look, I know this sounds harsh, but hear me out. I don't care that the partner died. I don't know anything about the relationship, anything about these characters. I have no
Yeah.
reason to invest, no reason to care. And then just suddenly she's dead in a very confusing scene that I didn't quite like. I thought she was faking. I thought she was dead before, but then she was really dead. So maybe she was doing a ghost. I don't fucking
Yeah,
know.
I had the same issue. Where it was like it had like that Star Wars prequels issue where it was like everything cool was done off screen, so all their chemistry and build up was like off screen. Like remember when we did
For sure.
this?
Yeah.
I don't remember because I didn't see it.
Yeah, exactly. So I just didn't care about the relationship, and that's like the core of the gameplay or the core of the game is these two's relationship with each other.
Hmm.
I did one of the side missions where I either had to banish a ghost or ascend it or whatever, or blame the non-ghosty, the mortal human being. I couldn't be saying this any weirder if I tried. I swear I'm a human being. Anyway, it just wasn't engaging for me. I felt like I was going through the motions. The game just felt so slow.
Mm,
Everything felt, even after the first like 5-10 minutes, I was like, "Wow, this kind of feels something feels off about this game."
mm.
And look, I'll for sure say I only played an hour and a half of it. Maybe it improves, but there are so many good games out there that it's like
Yeah,
I just didn't have the time to be finding out one way or the other.
that game kind of went by the wayside. I feel like it came out maybe at the wrong time, or I feel like people really dug it for like a couple days, and then I never heard anything again. Like
Yeah,
I
I
never
mean,
see it on a list or anything. I just never.
yeah, it has very positive on Steam based on a few thousand, but
Yeah,
it just for me it didn't click. I'm
it
not even saying it's necessarily a bad game, but
just didn't click with you,
I
which is fine.
it's yeah, it didn't click with me. It's Steam says I put in 3 hours, so there you go. I gave it a good shot, and it just didn't work for me. I think it looks nice in parts. Oh, but this is the other problem with it. I felt like I was playing a fucking 2007 Xbox 360 game. Everything was drab. Everything was
Mm,
sad. I look, I get it. It's called Banisher's Ghost of New Eden, right? I'm not expecting fucking rainbows and unicorns everywhere, but like I don't know. This game was just like really, really
yeah,
drab. It reminded me of the 360 PS3 era where everything was like orange shaded to hell. And not that this game necessarily was,
yeah,
but just the ambiance was not good. It just didn't jive for
yeah.
me.
Yeah, I liked it more than you did. I like the tone of it, and I like the setting, and I don't I also like the characters, but I like the dialogue with the when you like interview people and stuff. But overall, there was something missing about that game for me. It's like a 7 out of 10, I guess. Like I just felt like a game where like the gameplay is pretty good. It's like the gameplay is like God of War. That's why I could describe it. Like the new God of
Right.
War.
It's trying to be God of War. Man,
It's
and I was even thinking about
uh,
God of War a little bit. Like this game's really trying to.
yeah. So
I don't know.
I liked it, but it's not even in my honorable mention. It's not.
Yeah,
I thought some people really love it though. So it's just a matter of
yeah.
opinion.
I don't know.
It's okay if it didn't click with you.
Yeah, for
Not
sure.
every game can click with you.
Yeah.
So
Last game I'll mention as the rapid fire is Children of the Sun. I have very little to say about this. The
yep,
vibes were immaculate. I love the art style. Just absolutely chaotic,
it's the best part of the game.
bonkers art style. Uh, what's that?
It's the best part of the game.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Best part of the game.
Yeah.
Best part wasn't the gameplay. I I will say when I successfully this is basically like a puzzler shooter thing.
Yeah.
And like I feel like other games must have done this before, but I can't really think of any
I,
off
c-
the top of my
I
head.
can't think of any game like it though. Like 'cause I played it and I bought it on Steam like when it came out, like the day it
Right.
came out. And then like I can't think of another game where you snipe someone and you bullet time the bullet to go in whatever direction you want. It's very
Yeah.
unique.
Yeah.
I feel like it's been done before, but at the same time I can't think of anything that's done it like a sniper kind of game like
Exactly.
that before.
I feel like this had to have been done before, but I can't think of anything that actually has. So go figure. But
Yeah.
it's done really well. I will say when I figure something out by myself, those last few missions, fuck that. I used a guide. They were way too complicated for me. I'm not a puzzle person. I
Yeah.
was playing this because it was a short game. I had been wanting to play it, and Seb already owned it. So
Mm,
it was like no cost for me to check it out.
mm,
Um, I had a great time. I thought the story was a little hard to follow. even though I already knew what the story was just from reviews and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But just from like the comic book style cutscenes, it's kind of it happens so quick that it was tough for me to figure out. Last thing
Sure.
I'll say,
Yep.
anytime the game tries to be anything besides what it is, I hate it. Or not I hate it, but I'm just like, why? Like, go back to the puzzle shooter. Like, it tries to. On one point, you're sitting on a toilet and you're like trying to like get bullets or something, and like a kind of a ping pong kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then in another, you're like in a car shooting or dodging
Yeah.
debris. And then in another part, you're like, I don't know, doing something else.
Yeah.
And it's like every time they did it, I'm like, why are we doing this? Like, can we just go back to like the normal gameplay of this game? I
Sure.
understand they want to mix it up and do variety, but I don't know. For me, that didn't work. But overall, pretty good game. Uh,
Yeah.
I would recommend it if you like a good puzzle shooter.
Yeah.
Some of the usernames on the leaderboard were very funny too.
Yeah, this is one of the most underrated games of the year. I could see why this game is underrated because it has like a very edgy vibe to it, very edgy like
Yes.
school shooter kind of thing. Where like I can understand that turns off people because it does have that like this feels like a taboo game. I don't know, something about that the tone of it. Just I could see not
Right.
appealing to certain people, but it's not that kind of game. You're fighting a cult, and
Yeah, you're fighting
she's
an evil religious cult. This is
yeah.
not this is pretty tame in terms of like the morals of it.
And the people you're shooting are like just polygons. It's not exactly like hyper realistic or anything like that. So it's a very indie game.
Look at and it doesn't seem to really. I mean, I'm sure it does attract edge lords, but some of the cool usernames I found on the leaderboard: silly little guy, grandpa's second favorite lesbian. I love that one.
Yeah, yeah,
Punk moth goes by she her pronouns.
yeah.
Wholesome chaotic. I also love this one. I'm the man who fucked Gus Fring. That's incredible. 75,000 waffles was in a lot of the leaderboard. So great job, 75,000 waffles.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just a fun game. I just played it just because it was short and I
Yeah.
had been wanting to play it anyway.
Yeah, it was from Devolver Digital too, so
Yeah.
definitely check it out. There's a lot of Devolver games that I gotta check out this year because I wanted to play Angry Foot or Angerfoot or whatever it's called, and
You're right.
I went.
Angerfoot, yeah.
I'm still waiting for a better sale. It was like $17, and I was like, I don't know if I want to spend $17 on that right now, but yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to play that. But yeah, I liked it. It's not in my honorable mentions or anything, but once again, top 5 indie list. I guess it'd be my top 5. Like that's my top 5 indie. I think we hit on every indie that I really liked this year. I did.
Yeah.
I haven't talked about it, but I did buy several games in the autumn sale, and then also I bought things that were like on other websites and stuff. And I did buy Balatro. So I will let you know when I play it because
Oh
it
God.
was only $8. So I was like, hey, why not try it for $8? So
Oh boy. Well, I'm not seeing you for next week's
watch
podcast.
watch it be my top 10 in
Oh,
2 weeks.
God damn it, Seb. Don't do this
It's
to
gonna be
me. We
my.
stood on a hill together.
I don't remember staying on the hill, but
I know, no, I know. It's
I'm okay.
stupid metaphor.
But I watch it be my indie game of the year. Watch it makes my
Oh,
top 10.
God.
And I'm like, I agree. I'm like, woo! I'm gonna cheer it on when they win indie game of the year at the awards and watch it win game of the year. No, that'd be crazy if that wins game of the year. But yeah, so let me just rapid fire a couple of more games because I haven't talked about what I've been playing in 3 weeks because we took 2 weeks off and then we skipped it last week. I was playing the Call of Duty Black Ops 6 campaign. And yeah, it's a really good campaign. The visuals are incredible. The audio design is incredible. The gameplay feels really good to play. I'm actually invested in the story. It's actually cool. Performances are great. I think it's a good game for the campaign. I mean, I'm just talking about the campaign. I really like it. I recommend it if you like Call of Duty. I was playing Darksiders Genesis, which I beat before on PS5 on Steam Deck. I own all the Darksider games on Steam, and it's a fantastic handheld game. So I really recommend everybody plays that. I bought the Grand Theft Auto trilogy, remastered trilogy, because Rockstar apparently fixed the remaster randomly 2 years later or 3 years later after they came out. And yeah, they really fixed it. It looks way better than when I first played it. It actually captures the original aesthetic of the original games. For whatever reason, they added like this brown, more realistic tone, and it ruined it. It's back to being more colorful and animated, which is awesome. That's how Grand Theft Auto used to be. Um, and yeah, I'm really having a good time. It runs really well on the Steam Deck. The only thing I don't like is I have to log in to Rockstar in order to play the games, and it's really annoying to do this on the Steam Deck. You have to. It's really hard to type like the way they want me to do it. It doesn't register. It's like, why are you making me do this? One news we did skip this week was that like 2K is not making you having to log in anymore. You can just certain games you could just hit the button and it goes right in. Like BioShock, you don't have to log in anymore. So thank God. I hope Ubisoft and EA and Rockstar stop with this nonsense and just let me play my games. I'm supporting you. I want to buy your games. I'm gonna buy all your games. I like your I love your games, but stop forcing me to launch launchers, especially on a Steam Deck. It's annoying. All right. Anyway, and then the last game, Shadow of the Damned, Hello Remastered. I don't know if Dory, you've ever heard of this game. It's from.
I have.
Okay, it came out when you weren't playing games, early 2010s, but it's a really fun game. It has that chainsaw lollipop like early 2000s edgy humor to it, but it's not as quite raunchy as that game. It's not as bad as that game, but it's not as like sexualized. Not a teenage girl in short shorts and all that stuff. It's but it's about a guy that goes into hell to rescue his girlfriend, and you fight through a lot of demons and stuff. This game has, first of all, this game has really cool boss fights, and it has a really cool edge and tone to it. The settings are unique. Like, it's really cool. It just has a really fun like Devil May Cry vibe to it. And the main character and if like all the weapons, there's a third person shooter, and the gameplay is not great. It definitely shows its age. It feels more clunky and slow. It plays more like Resident Evil 4 and 5, like the old school ones. And I know Shinji Mikami was the producer on this, and he was really advertising this game, the remaster. He's like, please support this. And I wanted to support him because I'm a huge Shinji Mikami fan. Obviously, Resident Evil is my favorite franchise. And yeah, this game feels like Evil Within and Resident Evil with demons and stuff. And I think it's a blast to play. It's like an 8 to 10 hour game, and you just fight waves of enemies, and it's very clunky. It looks like a PS3 game, even with the remaster, but you just turn your brain off and have a good time with it. And like I said, I love cinematic, well written, amazing games like Last of Us and God of War, all that. But I love a gamey game too, where it's just like, just have fun with it, have a blast, and that's exactly what this game is. I think this game does have some genuinely funny jokes, and the main character is a cool protagonist. He's not like memorable or anything. He's not gonna be like a legendary character, but he's just fun. He's just a cool like Mexican guy. Like, yeah, it has like a Mexican like El Diablo vibe, or they're speaking Spanish and stuff like that. And he feels like a Tarantino main character in a movie. If you ever, I don't know if you ever really watched Tarantino movies, but like Dusk Till Dawn with the vampires. It just has that like,
I know of that film. Yeah, I've seen Pulp Fiction, Reservoir Dogs are the two I've seen from him.
yeah.
Oh, and Django Unchained.
So it has like that main character where it's like they're like a bounty hunter, like just cowboy kind of character, where like they no nonsense, but like they have some witty, but they're like witty at the same time, like just one liners. It's just a fun time. I really recommend it. I have it on Steam, Dory. So if you want to play it, just to try it out, it's worth a playthrough. It's really fun. It's like I said, it's not like Lollipop Chainsaw where it's trying too hard. It does have that moments like that, but it's not like as bad as that one where it's like cringy. Like, you know what I mean? But this game is not as bad as that, but it's still there. Yeah, early 2010s games were just like goofy like that. They just did not care. They just which is fine in some ways. So Yeah.
Yeah.
And he has a
Can we take just a 5-second break? I gotta use the restroom real quick.
okay. No worries.
I know
Wait,
we're on a roll, but I gotta go.
all right, no worries. And so while Dory goes away, I'll talk about a couple other things. So I talked about Neva already. Neva is an awesome game, one of the best indie games of the year. Best artwork in my opinion, best art style. I really like the art style. Really stands out. The gameplay is nothing to write home about. It's very simple. A lot of dodging, jumping on platforms, and just smacking enemies with a sword. So nothing great, but it's one of the best games. The studio that made it is awesome. I really recommend everybody plays Grease. All right, and then what else have I been playing? Uh, oh, Sonic X Shadow Generations. I think everybody should play that if you like Sonic games. I don't just keep in mind if you play the shadow sections are significantly better than the original game, which is still good. Don't get me wrong, but the shadow sections obviously feel more modern because they made it for this game. It's really good if you like platforming, fat platforming, and Sonic. And and I also bought Red Dead Redemption 1 on the Steam Deck, and it plays really well on the Steam Deck. The price tag is ridiculous. I did get it on sale, but I still probably overpaid. I don't know why they're charging $50 for a game that came out in like 2010, but I still love Red Dead so much, and I have not played the first game since it came out on the Xbox 360, so I wanted to try it on the Steam Deck, and it plays really, really well. Um, yeah, it's a must play. I'm glad it finally came to PC. Like, if you want to, I would start with well, I guess you could start with Red Dead Redemption 2 because it's chronologically first and it builds up to the first game. But the first game is more arcadey and has a lot of like arcadey shooting. It's a little more over the top. It's not as going for like a realistic simulator as much as the second game is. The second game is like full on get immersed in real life Western style games. So I really recommend it, but just don't get it for $50. Like, I don't know what Rockstar is doing. But I do hope Rockstar starts putting more of their older games on modern platforms. Like, I would love to play the Warriors, or like I would like to see a remake or remaster of Bully. I think they did that before, like a long time ago, but it'd be cool if they did an even better remaster. Yeah. And then I've been playing a little bit of Sparking Zero, but I've had some issues with Sparking Zero. Sparking Zero is bad on the online. Like, if you play it just for offline and with friends, it's a great time. But if you play it for online, it's a mess. People keep disconnecting and leaving games, and it's really annoying. The online like pretty much ruined the game. Like 90% of the player base dropped off, and I really wish they focused more on the online because I wanted this game to have more legs. So, but since the online's a mess, there is a lack of single player content too. So overall, this game just lacks so much content, and it's probably one of my top five most disappointing games of the year. I wish it was better, for sure. All right, welcome back. So what I was just doing, I was talking about like other side, like rapid firing quick things. I was saying I was playing Sparking Zero, and the online was a big disappointment, and like 90% of the player base dropped off. I was talking about how I bought Red Dead Redemption 1 for PC and played it on Steam Deck, and the price tag's horrendous, and I wish Rockstar would stop being greedy, but at the same time, it's still a good game. And yeah, and that's pretty much everything I've been playing. So I went through a lot of games, a lot of games, because it's been 3 weeks, and
Uh,
I was on a day off. I was on a week off. So all right, so
all right. Well, I have one game left.
go ahead.
I'm gonna try to talk about this game without giving away too much, because it's best experience blind. I played 1000 Resist, which I have been wanting to spelled out 1000xResist. So similar to Hunter x Hunter. Um, this is an indie game uh developed I forget the studio, but it's a lot of the game is a reaction to the pandemic. It's a reaction to a lot of the protests that happened uh, in South Korea, I believe, during 2019, and also during discrimination that Asian Americans have faced since the pandemic.
Mm.
Um, it's about, I want to say, 10 to 15 hour game. It the writing is just on another level. It's incredible writing. You're here for the storytelling, the voice acting, some of the best voice acting I've heard all year, and that includes Final Fantasy or Silent Hill 2 or whatever else. The voice acting is incredible. I do think that there are, it may take some people some time to get used to the 3D graphics, the kind of 3D graphics they use. But overall, I liked it. I thought it was striking. There's a character with my name in it, which is very rare, but that was a little cool thing. Generally, you are playing as this character who is more or less in this religious cult, and you are very indoctrinated at the beginning. And throughout the game, you discover more and more secrets that were not told to you, and you kind of break free as the game goes on. Um, it's kind of split into two different parts, but I don't want to say more than that. But it was really well done, just exceptionally well done. It is in my top 10 now. It's not super high because at this point the bar to be in my top 10 is ridiculous. Uh, but it was an excellent game, and I really enjoyed it. I would strongly encourage anyone. I don't know how this game didn't get nominated for something. Like it should have been nominated for games of change or whatever that they say at Cody, or for music was incredible too. So maybe music, but like it's just really well done. Uh, there's a lot to balance in this game, obviously about religion, but also about politics, about family, about grief. There's so much that this game tackles, and it does it super well. And I really appreciated a lot of the stuff it was saying. Um, I don't feel like it necessarily hits you over the head in a bad way, but it is very obvious with its message. But I think it does it very beautifully and very well. Some of the best voice acting all year is from this game. Um, yeah, it's pretty close to being in my top five, but a couple of other excellent games are just above it. Um, yeah, I really enjoyed it. I would anybody who's interested in indie games who doesn't mind political themes or philosophical themes in your indie games, this is for you. Like I really recommend this. Um, Strongly recommend this. Just check it out on Steam. Like look at the reviews, see if it's for you. There's no gameplay or there's no combat, I should say. And sometimes it could get a little confusing. The map isn't the best, but overall, I didn't have much to complain about. I really loved it. Again, it's called 1000xResist. It's been on my wish list for quite a while. I finally just said, fuck it, I'll buy it.
Yeah.
And a couple weeks ago, and yeah, I loved it. Super highly recommend everybody go check it out.
It has the same publisher as Citizen Sleeper and Beacon Pines.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's I forget their name.
Surprise Attack. Fellow
Oh, sorry.
fellow traveler games.
Yeah, yeah, fellow traveler. Yeah, yeah. They put out really good games. I love Citizen Sleeper, as you know, and I also love Beacon Pines. So they just put out some quality stuff, and this is another example of that. So if you liked Beacon Pines, if you liked Citizen Sleeper, which by the way, Citizen Sleeper 2 coming out in a little over a month and a half, January 31st.
Yeah.
Then I super recommend this. It's an excellent game.
In other words, a Dory game. Dory seal of approval.
Yeah, absolutely. Dory seal of approval.
Stamp. All right. So last game of the night and the final topic of the night, Marvel Rivals, which is the thumbnail of this episode. That is the last game I've been playing. I've been playing it the last 2 days. It came out on I want to say Thursday night. Yeah, Thursday night. I played. I had a weird sleep schedule that night, and I was able to stay up to like 2 in the morning playing it. And Marvel Rivals is a free to play game. It came out on all platforms except for Nintendo. I played it on PC. and it's an absolute blast to play. I had good I had a good feeling about it because a lot of the people that played in beta and stuff were like praising it, and they were saying the right things. It's not gonna be my top 10 or anything like that, but like it's just a fun, like I want to play a game for 20 minutes and just fight people kind of game. It has issues which we'll talk about, but it is an awesome game. And if you really like Marvel, which I do, I have a whole shelf of Marvel statues and I'm a giant Marvel fan. It's really cool to play all these characters. They all feel very different from each other, like completely different. You have characters that are completely ranged. You have like Black Widow or Hawkeye who are like sniper kind of characters. Like if you land a headshot, you can like one shot somebody, but it's very hard to do that in this game. Then you have characters like Spider-Man who is like extremely mobile. Like he's flying all over the map. He's swinging all over the map, and he's really hard to control. And like even on the game, it says his difficulty rating's like full stars. Like he's like really hard to control. But the people that really mastered him like were just awesome to watch. But some characters are just lousy for me. I just don't like how it plays. There's some balance issues for sure. It's a very team oriented game. If you don't have tanks and healers and DPS all working together well and people following the objective, you're gonna get steamrolled. Or if you have that and you're playing team oriented gameplay, you're going to steamroll them. You're going to dominate. So this game is very all over the place in terms of like the results. Like, there's some games where you're absolutely nailing it, and there's other games where it's like, um, where you're just doing horrible. Like you're just dying a lot. Like this game, you die a lot very easily. You die very easily in this game. If you don't have a healer constantly healing you, or you're not running around getting the health packs, you're gonna die a lot. And the respawn time is not too bad or anything like that, but it can be frustrating if you're struggling with this kind of game. I really don't like melee characters. For whatever reason, every time I play as like Wolverine or like the Hulk or something, I'm finding somebody and then just run into like five other people at the same time, and I die because like you can't take on five people in this game, and it gets annoying. And it's like I'd rather just play as like the Punisher or something, or the Star Lord, where I could keep a distance and keep shooting people from a distance while the tank is taking the damage and stuff. And I like it like better, but still, like I wish the Hulk felt better to play. I just don't like some of the play styles in this game. Like some characters are just unusable. I try to use as many as I can. I haven't used everybody yet, but I use most of them. And like I said, my main has been Punisher and Star Lord. And I've used Black Widow, but every time I use Black Widow, I just suck. I can't play as her. But I really like the Punisher, even though he's the easiest character to play as, because like he's just a straight up third person shooter, with a turret and stuff. But he's just blast to play. And I like Star Lord too, and his like special move is awesome. It's like if you get it off and no one's hitting you, he can like take out like five or six people at the same time. So it's really cool. How are you liking it, Dory?
I'm the complete opposite of Seb. Not in that I hated it. It seems like a fine game. But I was there for Squirrel Girl. Look, I named myself after her. She's my favorite superhero. I have a lot of her stuff. I've gotten the people who wrote Unbeatable Squirrel Girl to sign some of my like comics or whatever. And so I was there for Squirrel Girl. I played maybe I want to say an hour, maybe a little more than an hour. I liked it. I thought it was all right. I didn't look, hero shooters aren't for me. It's not my genre. It's not something I regularly play or enjoy. So the game had a lot going against it, but I do love Marvel. I did play a little bit of Spider-Man, a little bit of Punisher, but like I was there to play as Squirrel Girl. On the topic of Squirrel Girl and how she plays, she's all right. I feel mixed on her having a slingshot with acorns coming out of it. That's not really something she does in the comics. She eats nuts and kicks butts. So I don't really understand what we were thinking there. It's not. I'm not saying she would never do that. I'm not saying it's out of character. I feel like she would do that, but she never does do that. Like she doesn't really need to. So I don't know. It's a weird choice to make her a duelist, but whatever. It wasn't a big deal. I had some decent games, but I only really played against AI. I did some tutorials, then I did a couple of AI just to like practice myself. And then I did, I think, like one or two um ones against people. And I mean, God, I got fucking wrecked. But like again, it's just not my genre. It's not something that super interests me. I would say my interest in Marvel projects, properties in general, are pretty low. I mean, I did just read, where the hell is it? I did just read Ultimate Spider-Man. We are not sponsored, by the way. And it's fucking awesome. So everybody go read that. But generally speaking, I'm less interested in Marvel than I've ever been in my life. So it's just not something that's going to grab me, but it's not bad. I see why people like it, and I respect it. Fuck Iron Fist. That dude sucks. I only fought him a few times, and even I could
He's
notice
OP.
that he was OP as fuck. He like he fucking like fucked me up so bad. And I was like, bro, where the fuck did he come? I didn't even know what killed me the first time he killed me, and then I realized, like, obviously on the replay, but so all my homies fucking hate Iron Fist. But
Which is a shame because
yeah,
I love Iron Fist as a character. But like
yeah.
this game's made me this game has made me not like the character.
um, but yeah, I mean, I thought some of the voice acting was great. Look, I'm really happy that oh my god, I'm gonna forget her name, but she finally got to uh Squirrel Girl in Marvel Rivals, and I'm really happy for her because she wanted to do it during Young Avengers. They were going to do a TV show for it, but they didn't. It never got off the ground. Um,
Milana Vaintrub.
yeah, Milana. I knew it was something like that. Uh, yeah, Milana Vaintrub. She's awesome. She's a huge, like, legitimate Squirrel Girl fan. She loves Squirrel Girl, and so her voicing the character is just a big win. Steve Bloom being the voice of Wolverine is awesome.
Again,
Um, Again, yes, he's been it before, of course. He's so great at that. I believe that's Yuri doing Spider-Man. I could be wrong, but it sounds like Yuri. Um, if I'm wrong, then that's a dead ringer for Yuri. That's a
it
good voice impression.
it is. It's Yuri.
It is Yuri. Okay, good. So yeah, I think they've done some great job with the voice work. I will say, even in the hour I played, some of the voice lines were overwrought, like, or just repetitive. Even within the hour I played, I can't imagine playing that for multiple hours, hearing the same voice line over and over. And sometimes you can't even hear the voice lines. There's just too much going on. There's characters moving. There's people shooting for fun. The announcer is like dictating what's about to happen and when. Squirrel Girl is trying to have this funny conversation with Spider-Man, and I can't fucking hear shit because the announcer's like, get ready to infiltrate. 3, 2, 1. I'm like, stop.
This
I
game
want to hear Liliana.
this game has this it's basically like our greatest hits of all like the biggest voice actors of these characters.
Yes.
Like cuz like
I'm so happy that
actually
they
go ahead. Mhm.
they made this really, it's actually my Steam profile picture. I don't know if you've seen it before, Seb. But it's the Moon Knight, the fan created image
The
of
Dracula.
Moon Knight walking down the steps, and he's like, Dracula, where the fuck is my money, you fucking nerd? Uh and they made that canon, kind of. They put it in, I guess, some documents or some shit. I saw it on
Yeah.
Twitter, so it's got to be true, right? But I mean, it seemed legit. And it was really cool. I laughed a good bit, but yeah, I don't know. The devs seem to know what they're doing. Look, all the characters are available at the get go. You don't have to pay for any of them. I didn't see if there are, microtransactions or loot boxes or some shit. It wasn't popping out at me. I didn't see it
It's
very heavily enforced or advertised. So
yeah, I'd have to look it up, but I don't it wasn't like it seems like it's reasonable. Doesn't feel like it
yeah,
affects you in any way.
I didn't experience any crashes. All the games I did had
Mhm.
people involved in it. I mean, as far as a 2024 release, this is pretty good. It's low standards. The bar is kind of in hell at this point for looter shooters, or I'm sorry, I always want to say looter shooters for hero shooters. But yeah, I mean, it meets that bar and probably supersedes it. So good for them.
Yep.
It's not my kind of game, and I only really got an hour out of it, but I can absolutely see why people like it.
Yeah, it's cool to have Nolan North and Troy Baker and back together in a game. I guess. Uh, Nolan North is playing Rocket, and Troy Baker is Loki. I didn't know
Nice.
that. I didn't realize that. And then James Arnold Taylor is playing Magneto, so that's interesting. The voice of
Wow.
Ratchet and Obi-Wan. Um, yeah. My biggest criticism of the game is just some of the character designs and the voice acting, or more the voice lines, are very mobile game esque. It has a mobile game esque vibe to it. Just something about it is not great. But and I do think some of the maps get repetitive. It's like I feel like I'm doing the same map multiple times or whatever. But like this is just season one. They'll add more stuff. I think the biggest problem with this game is the balancing. Like some characters are just awful to play, and some characters are like OP, and that's just normal multiplayer stuff where like they have to balance it out. They have to keep working on it. It will get better, but it is there. But overall, it's like, yeah, I think this game is awesome, but is this a game I'm gonna stick with? And that's really what it comes down to. Is this a game I'm gonna play like 6 months from now, a year from now? And the answer is I don't know. And that's really what it comes down to, because like Dory, it's not my genre. Maybe I'm more so like these kind of games more than Dory, but I'm not saying I'm a huge hero shooter multiplayer person. I'm more a single player person. I like single player. I rather have a great narrative, great story kind of game. I like an awesome linear game, or an awesome like 35-hour game, or a long JRPG. Playing like Overwatch and Call of Duty and Apex and Fortnite, those are not my. It's not my genre. It's not my sphere. I don't watch Twitch streamers. I don't follow the esports. I don't get into that gaming sphere. I'm a hardcore gamer in terms of like I play a lot of games. I own a lot of platforms. I invest a lot of money in gaming, but I don't get in the gaming culture of like multiplayer like people do. Some people are like when people say gamer, like most gamers are like that, and like Dory and I are like the minority, really, if you think about it, because like
Yep.
most people like Fortnite or something when they go home from work. They don't.
Right.
You and I like Citizen Sleeper or Beacon
Right.
Pines, or you know what I mean, like
Right. Right.
obscure shit,
Yeah.
which is awesome. But so my point is that I like it more than Dory does, but I'm still not like captain like captain of the fan club of multiplayer shooters. It's just not my genre either. But
Right.
I love this
Sure.
game. I think I wouldn't like this game as much if it wasn't Marvel, but I still think it's a generally good game, and I think this is really well done.
Yeah.
And then the fact that it's free to play is the biggest factor of why I really like it as well.
Yes.
Because this game was like $40. I'm not buying it. So,
No, I would never have touched this if this wasn't free to play.
which was the
I had a
Concord
decent
problem.
time. Yeah, it's a Conquer problem. I had a decent time with it, and I enjoyed myself, and I was so happy to see Squirrel Girl on screen because she's my favorite character, and she so very rarely gets anything because she's a gag character. Even though she like literally has like a multi-run where she's not just a gag character, but whatever. Most people see her as a gag character because she beat Thanos or whatever, or Doctor Doom, or everybody else.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but yeah, it was so cool to see her in a game. I just wanted to play as her, and I got to do that, and so I was satisfied. I was happy in that. Look, I'm not thrilled that she has a slingshot for some fucking reason, but also I don't know. It's a hero shooter, right? So I
sure.
can't be too mad. I
Yeah,
can't be too mad.
yeah. I like that they pick some obscure characters to play as. Like it's not just like the main ones you think of. Like the fact that like Cloak and Dagger's in it, and like Jeff the Land Shark. You know what I mean? And Spider
Yeah,
Zero.
I saw a lot of people using Jeff the Land Shark. I was like, who the fuck is Jeff the Land Shark?
He's relatively new. He came out like 2018, I believe. So, but there's a whole story to that. But But in the game, he's a healer character. So If you're playing as him, he's a healer. I think they made Magneto a support character. Like Magneto is like healing people and shit. Yeah, I think Rocket's a support character. You gotta be mindful. This game is is like kind of like a RPG that not like in the stats, but like the fact that like they have like that the holy trinity of our DPS, tanks, and healers, just like Overwatch. And some characters are straight up support characters and healers, and other characters are more about damage, and other characters are about tanking, like Venom and the Hulk and Magneto and Groot. Although the Groot players with the fucking tree walls everywhere, so annoying. But yeah, just if your team sucks, you're gonna you're gonna have a bad time. If your team is doing really well, everybody knows the objective, everybody's doing their role, everybody knows their role. If the healer is not going out fighting people, you'll have a better time. But when you're playing with randoms, though, you can't. If you're coordinating with your friends and you're all like masterful pro gamers, and you're all talking on Discord and planning your shit out, you're gonna steamroll most players, I guarantee you. But
Yeah.
most people are not gonna be doing that, of course, because a lot of people don't have
Yeah.
friends, unfortunately, to do that. Like, it's hard. It's hard to get people just to play one game for 5 minutes. Never mind, like coordinating a whole freaking team on Discord.
Yeah.
This is how it is. I can't get people to do anything anymore when you get older. So, but yeah, it's a really fun game to play. I recommend it for everybody. Like I said, it's free to play, so you have nothing to lose to try it out. Even if it doesn't click with you, it's free. So why not, right? Like I said, this game was $40. It would have been dead on arrival. I feel like so.
Yeah.
It does have a cheap aesthetic to it, even though it's not cheap. It actually looks very good. It looks high quality visually.
Yeah, I do like I should also say I do like the aesthetic of it. Very obviously very comic booky given the subject
Yeah.
matter, but doesn't look but looks unique. It doesn't just look like a ripoff of like a comic book panel or
Yeah,
something.
it's
It looks unique.
it's just that some of the character design just feel like Chinese knockoffs. Like, I don't know how to explain it. They feel like mobile game.
Like Temu or Wish.com or
Yeah, they
whatever.
feel like mobile game versions of the characters, like design
Mm.
wise. When I say aesthetic, I just mean it just has like a mobile game vibe to it. But so that's my biggest problem with it. But besides the balance, all right. So that's our show. That's everything. Thanks for watching. So before we end, just a reminder that next week is the Game Awards. Well, this week coming up, I guess. And we'll be talking about every announcement that happened at the awards, who won. We'll also talk about Indiana Jones, which comes out tomorrow night at 7:00 p.m. Eastern time. And I bought it and pre-ordered it. I got it for $53. So like I saved $17 on it, which was cool. And then also Legacy of Kain comes out this week as well. So I'll be trying to play that as well on my Steam Deck. So I'll try to balance the two. We'll see. But that's my goal, is to have those two games played so we can talk about it next week. So next week's is largely going to be Game Awards, Indiana Jones, Legacy of Kain, and whatever Dory's playing. And yeah. And then the week after that will be our top 10 games of the year. And then we'll take a week off, and then we'll be back in January. So that's the plan.
I'll probably be playing Paper Mario 1000 Year Door. If I haven't started it by then I've got some other games lined up. But yeah, it'll hopefully be Paper Mario starting next week or this upcoming week.
Yeah, I always get excited for the new year because I can feel like like in January 1st, I can feel like I have a clean slate. I don't feel like a pressure to like catch up on the
Yeah.
new games. Like, I feel like I can just play whatever I want. But that's also me just doing that to myself. I don't have to do that. Anyway,
Yeah, right.
all right. You have a good night, Dory. Thanks for joining me, and
All right, everybody.
take care. Peace.
See you at the Keeleys.
Yep.